In this video, I'm going to show you how I built out this cubby system behind me here for under $500. Welcome to Bacon's Lodge, where I will build many things, fix even more, and try to make it an adventure along the way. Can you build this cubby system for under $500? Yes, you can. I built this for under $500, and I will go through the procedure of doing that. I do want to tell you, though, that you do need some specialty tools, which I'll list out for you in a few seconds here. Also, at the end of the video, I will go through all of the materials needed for this project, and I'll show you the prices that I paid for them at the time, which was in December of 2024. For this project, we will need the following tools. We'll need a level, a hammer, a handsaw, a speed square, 6-inch preferably, tape measure, a pencil, chalk line, safety glasses, and 2 wood clamps. We will also need a impact driver, a bit for whatever screws you have, circular saw, table saw if you have one. If not, you can use a circular saw, trim router and bit, 16 gauge nail gun, or you could hand nail if you didn't have one. I use the Craig R3 Junior Pocket Hole system. You could use any of them, but that seems to be the best. And then a set of sawhorses as well. So this video is cut down from a longer 3-part series that I did. What I'm doing here now is I'm anchoring these 1x4 cleats into the studs of the wall. There's actually 3 of them. There's the 2 up here and there's a lower one. The top one is at the height of where you want your hooks to be. Middle one is it's at just anywhere in the middle just to be able to support the paneling that's going to be behind it. And the bottom one is at the height of the bench that you want it to be. I don't have any set heights to give you on this because I just set mine up the way I wanted it to. I believe the bottom was at 17 inches, and there I just spaced out where it felt good for me. I put the hooks a little bit below eye level, and I went from there. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this 5/8 board that I cut down to 16 inches wide, and the length is 86. So we're going to set it up here. And since I have that corner over there, it should pretty much support itself. And then I just cut this board before to the same height as the cleat back there. So we're going to have this one halfway so it supports the back one, and then the new one I'm going to be putting up here. And then we're just going to hang this one up here as well. We're just sliding it up there, stacking on top of that one. So we're going to just measure this overall length here, which is 70 inches. If we split this in half at 35 inches, and put a support in the center there. Since I used just regular plywood, one side is sanded and nice and pretty. The other side you'll see has stamps on it, and it's not as smooth. The idea that I have is that I'm going to be putting it on the outside, at least with this one. I want to put it on the outside here, and then I'm going to be covering it with log siding, I think, because I think it'll look really nice. So I'm going to be putting the nicer side to where you're going to see it. So like that one's going to face this way. We're going to be putting another one here. I'll probably have the nicer side face that way because you'll see it from the door as you walk in. So I have one of my ripped pieces of plywood down here. What I need to do is pocket screw these into here, but I want it recessed where these are taken out. So I'm just holding it up tight where I know it's plumb. That one I already put in there. And I'm going to mark the top and bottom of these on here. And I know that's right in line where this is going to be. This is flush up here, and then this will be the template for the other ones that I have to cut. Then we got one down here as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my speed square and I'm going to extend those marks. And then this is the piece that I cut. It should be 3/4, and I could just use my speed square, but I want it pretty precise. Now we have to cut these out. If you're liking this video, please click subscribe so I can keep growing the channel. Thank you. Drill pocket holes. I'm going to use a Craig jig to set it up on the back. You can see those little numbers there. So you set it so that the 1/2 inch is by that arrow there because I'm using 1/2 inch plywood. That's how you set the depth on that. And then for the drill, there's a collar on here that you set up for the 1/2 inch as well.
I'm going to put 2 of them in each one of these. You take your jig or clamp it down, and then you take your drill, and it's got little collars here. You just slide them right through there. Okay, and then you just simply pop it off. And you got 2 little nice holes there that you can put your screws in. Now we're going to start putting them up here. I made a board as a template to put on here so you don't have to measure it every time. This should keep my consistency a lot tighter. So I cut it at 19 3/4 because I wanted the boards to be spaced at 20 inches on center. So if I put this block on each one before I screw it in there, it should make it so they all line up and they're always 20 inches on center. We're going to take the board, slip it up in there, tap it up tight up against that template. And then there's specialty screws that they have for this that are made for plywood. And you just slide her into the pocket screw and screw it down. Now I'm going to move my template board to on top of this one. Probably going to move it out a little bit. The reason why I want the template on each one is that when I told you that these boards are not the precise ones, they have a bow in them. So this will help me take that out by pushing it up tight against there and then anchoring it in. Okay, so that plumbed up the middle and the top. I have to do it for the bottom here. I cut more of these at 19 3/4. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to anchor them off of here. Then we just tack them to each other. I screwed these from underneath so that they're all spaced out right. We did the pocket screws to connect up to the wall. The next step is to put one across the top. So we lock it all in. That'll also be the start of the next foundation. I'm just putting this one up, buttoning up against that one. Putting my mark here. That should be just about perfect.
Here I am cutting the paneling and I'm measuring out the width of inside of the cubbies there. And then I just clamp off a board because I didn't have the table saw up there at this point, and I'm just using the side of that board as a straight edge to cut along so that I know that it's straight. The edge that I'm cutting along is a factory edge, so in theory it should be straight. Next we have an outlet in there, so I took off the outlet cover and I'm marking out the measurements on the wall so I don't forget them. And then I'll transfer those onto the back of the board here, and then using a jigsaw. You could also use the hand saw. I just zipped it out so that way it would fit in there nice and tight. We're going to start making the face boards for the cubbies here. And what I use here is it's a 1x4 by 8 foot long board, and I router this detail on it. I'll show you in a second how to do that. And then you just cut it down to length and put it in there. It's a nice, inexpensive way to make the faces.
So to router it, we're going to use this trim router we have here. On it we have a 1/4 inch beveling bit with a ball bearing on it that it rides on the edge of it. It's a pretty cool machine, and it gives it a pretty good detail for the boards, or one that I like at least. Okay, so when you're using, this is a trim router. When you're using the router, you're pushing this flush here, so it's the surface is flat, and you're pushing this ball bearing up against this edge. What's nice about this is if you make a mistake because you kick it one way or the other way, To correct it, it's really simple. As long as you go back over it leveled out, it's going to fix itself. When you go around the corner, I like to go around them twice because sometimes you'll kind of like bump out. So if you go around twice, it does smooth it out a little bit. It's a nice profile.
So I'm nailing the faces onto there with my 16 gauge nail gun. I use the speed square to find the center of the board. That way I can line my nail in right into the board so it doesn't miss as often. Now I'm going to start laying out the faceplate for the top here. I'm going to make it all as one piece on the sawhorses. To do that, I actually take the board itself, put it up there, and I take my speed square and I transfer the location of the plywood onto the board. You can see that tracing it there. Once I get those all in there, I'll take it over to the sawhorse and I'll transfer the markings onto the top faceplate and as well as the bottom, and then I'll space out the 3.5 inches I need to be able to lock in the little in-between pieces. Makes it a lot tighter because I can screw it over here instead of having to screw it in place. Using the Craig jigs, I just put in some more pocket screws so I can lock it all up. Here it is all as one piece, and to hang it up there is really nice because I have the one piece a little bit longer than the other one, so it literally hangs there. So I can go get my nail gun and nail it all in place, and I was really happy with it.
So we're going to measure out the width of this one here. I got to make sure I extend it out the same distance I did here, which is an inch and a half, so it's going to be adding an inch and a half to the overall measurement. So I have 70 and a half, so we're going to go with 72 inches. Now, the original plan was to use the pocket jig or pocket hole jig to use pocket screws in the back instead of having to face nail these. But with the board only being so far, I can't get the drill in there to drill it because I didn't pre-plan as much as I should have. That's where, if you had plans, it would make your life better. Okay, now the reason why I'm going to use pocket screws whenever I can to screw the face boards together is because I want them to be on a similar plane. There's imperfections in my woodworking for the carcass, and I can fix that by actually screwing the two together so that they're in line with each other, and then I can nail it to the support behind it. So you could do it without it, but it also gives these rigidity side to side, so that way if somebody hits it, it doesn't bust it off as easily. I'm a little too cheap to buy the trim that I wanted to run around in here because when I priced it out, it was about $100 worth of trim. I made this out of scrap pieces of 1x that I had from different projects. Actually, some of it's from this project here. And what I did is, I'll put in a clip here of it. First, I put the router on the edge of it here. It's the same profile that I put on the faces of the cubbies themselves. And after I put the profile on there, I ripped it down to 1 inch wide. It didn't take a whole lot of time, but this was free to me because it's just scraps from what I had. And I think I have enough to do it all. For these, I just pre-cut them all out. These are all pretty much the exact same size boxes, so it's real easy to make one and run them out there. So what we're going to be doing is mounting it up in the top here, longer ones on the side, and then on the bottom. So basically since I got these all pre-cut, I'm just going to set you up on a time lapse, and I'm going to run through them all. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to click the subscribe button. Thank you. Okay, so here's an up close of what they look like. It looks pretty good. You can't see any of the imperfections of the paneling. And so like that stuff over there will all be hidden when I put that piece of trim in. Okay, so it's kind of hard to see on here, but there's these nail holes. They're on the face of the boards here. And I want to fill them up because I'm going to be painting these. I could use wood putty, but I think actually a better thing for this is I'm actually going to be using spackle. This is a DAP heavyweight spackle. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this because I'm actually going to fill any imperfections in the wood. And then I'm going to go through and sand it. It should leave a much smoother finish. Okay, so it's pretty easy to tell when it's dry because it turns really white. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand it with this sanding sponge. It's a 320 grit, as you can see. It should knock it down pretty easily. I'll film me doing a few of them. Doing the inside trim in there, I'd like to lie to you and tell you that I did a perfect job and there's no seams that you can't see. But that's not what this channel is about. There are definitely seams that you can see, and I'm going to hide them. Well, hide them, just fix it up. It's what most people do with trim. Even in high-end houses, when you trim around the base of it, you use caulk. This is it's made by GE, siliconized acrylic caulk. I don't know whatever it is. It's a decent painter's caulk. So what I'm going to do is, I'll try to bring you in here, is I'm going to caulk around the parts where you can see cracks. There's a few of them around it, and then also where like the pocket holes are, I'll go through and fill those up the best I can too. We're going to show you how to do that. I'm going to see if I can get you in here so I can get you a good angle at it as well. You can see right here there's a crack, and then there's the two pocket screws there. We're going to use this caulk and try to fill it up. So to do that, I cut it a 45-degree angle the best I could, and the slight thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread a bead of caulk. And right now it's real lumpy and bumpy. And to smooth it out, this is just a paper towel that I wetted down, and you're going to use your finger. So you get your finger pretty wet, then you just run your finger along it, clearing off when it gets to be too much on your finger. We got the whole first coat on. Pretty happy with it. This stuff turns out pretty smooth. It needs another coat so it completely covers it. I was going to show you guys what I used. It's a Dutch Boy Premium Plus cabinet door and trim paint. I did it in a satin because I didn't want to have it beat gloss. And the color I picked out was refined gray. Through this process of painting and priming, I learned that I hate beadboard because it's a real pain to get these all painted out. That being said, it's not really necessary to say. I just wanted to let you know that if you're thinking of a project like this, maybe you stay away from beadboard because it's a pain in the ass. The next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to put the marks and mount the hook. So there's going to be a hook in the center here for a main jacket. If you remember when I put the boards up in the back for the rails, I left one down. There's the top one, there's one down a little way. So if I put it down 5.5 inches, it'll be right in the middle of that. Actually, I'll do center first. Center is, so this is about 18 inches wide, so we're going to do about 9 inches, which is right in the middle of that bead there. And then we're going to come down 5.5 inches and make a mark. Actually, I like these hooks a lot, but the annoying thing about them is you got to put your, in this case, a drill, but whatever you're using to drive in the screw, it's blocked by the actual hook itself. Maybe that'll be blind me while it's doing it. When I was installing these last few hooks here, my floodlight died because it's a battery powered floodlight. When it died, it kind of made me thought, well, it'd be kind of cool to get some lights to go up here to backlight this and have it as kind of like a night light. So I got this Patriot lighting. It's motion sensing. The only kind of disadvantage of that is I have to mount a sensor up here
So we're going to try to hide that as best I can. But with it being motion sensing, it could just be when you walk in, it'll turn them on. So I think it'd be pretty cool. I'm going to get this figured out and get it mounted. So to mount it, what I had to do is I had to drill a hole behind the rails there in the plywood for that back runner. And then I just fished it behind there and taped up the backside of this face board here that mounted it up and made it look pretty awesome. So I got them all installed and it gives it a pretty cool glow effect. I have them on right now. Here, let me turn them off. That's them off and that's them on. It's a pretty cool effect. They were $13, so for $13 it turned out pretty cool, I think. The materials needed for this project are 3 sheets of 1/2-inch plywood that I ripped down to 12 inches wide by the full length. This is used for the upper parts of the cabinet. 1 sheet of 5/8 plywood that was ripped down to 16 inches. This was used for the bench part of the cabinet. 4 sheets of beadboard used for the backing. 15 1x4 by 8 foot quality boards that are used for the faces. 6 1x4 by 8 foot standard boards that are used for the cleats in the back. If you didn't have scrap, it'd be 4 1x8 by 8 foot quality boards for the trim. 2 gallons of primer. 1 gallon of paint. Miscellaneous painting things for tape, roller, spackle, and sanding sponge. The tape light that I used. Miscellaneous nails and caulk and screws. It came out for a total of $478. So it was built for under $500. So I took this video from the series that is for the mudroom. If you'd like to have a more explained version of the videos, please watch the 3 videos for making this. I do want to thank you for watching this. Hopefully I inspired you to get up and do something, as this channel is keeping me accountable and actually having to get up and do stuff myself, and also making me do better quality work because I don't want to show you guys crap. Once again, thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. May God bless you and have a great day.